While though we've had some great moments this season, this is the episode where Empire Season 3 finally starts to get going. Hey guys, time for Empire Season 3, Episode 4, Cupid Kills, and I was definitely looking forward to this episode. I've been enjoying this season so far, and like I said in my intro, I've enjoyed the slower pace of this season, but damn this episode. I mean, this episode was right up there with the premiere. I really did love this episode overall. If it had not been for the last scene, this would have easily been the best episode of the season. I really did love this episode overall. Things really are getting set in motion. Next week's episode looks insane, but let's just get in this episode because there is a lot that went down in this episode. And like I said, after two very not very slow, but slower episodes, this one really started to pick things up, and I really did like seeing that. But they did a good job with not moving things too quickly. You know, things are definitely starting to get in motion, but it's not too crazy yet, and I do like that. So we start off, we see Lucius and Andre are heading to this really rough neighborhood to sit down with Nessa and go over a contract at Shine Studio, and Andre is immediately taken aback by Nessa, and this didn't exactly work for me. We know that Andre has been dealing with Rhonda's death. He still isn't over Rhonda's death. Suddenly, he seems to like Nessa, and he is taken aback by her. It's the first time that he's ever seen her, and Lucius is shocked when he learns that Shine has invited half a dozen other labels to hear Nessa sing, and they're having a good old-fashioned bidding war over Nessa, which obviously Lucius is not okay with. You know, he will make sure that he gets Nessa to Empire, because Nessa is very talented, and I like seeing Nessa in this episode. Nessa really does get some more character development, and they did a good job with that. But again, I feel like this is not really exactly the direction they should be going with her. I'll get into that. By the way, thank God there's no Anika in this episode. There's no Anika in sight, and thank God, because she's really been ruining the season. But Lucius then heads back to Empire. He's furious. He freaks out on Becky for not closing Nessa's deal weeks ago. Becky tries to explain that it wasn't her job, that it is the head of A&R's job, and she tried to apply for it, but Cookie hired someone from the outside named Xavier, and Cookie arrives, and she and Lucius exchange words, and have nothing nice to say to each other, and that little scene with Becky, to me, I think it's trying to show that Becky really is thinking about what J-Pop said to her. Remember, J-Pop said straight out that I'm leaving Empire, you know, you're better in other places, and I think Becky's kind of starting to realize that maybe he's right. Maybe Empire really isn't right for her. Maybe she would be better elsewhere, and I feel like that's really where we're headed with her character, that she's going to try to find other work. I definitely could see that happening with Becky. Not yet, obviously, but I feel like soon Becky is going to try to find other work. We'll have to see, though. Cookie arrives. She and Lucius exchange words of nothing nice to say to each other. Cookie is rushing through the halls with her assistant in tow, and a group of little kids stop her. They play her the song Farajaka that they have been working on. Kind of a weird scene the way it was done. Like, they were saying anything else but Farajaka, it would have been cute, but because they were saying Farajaka, it was just kind of creepy, honestly. And apparently Angelo brought them in to serenade Cookie, and we really do get things moving with Angelo and Cookie. I know a lot of people think Angelo is boring, but compared to Lucius, I think it's exactly what Cookie needs, and he invites her on a date later that night to see his friend Gia singing. Cookie confesses to her assistant that Angelo is a gentleman. He reminds her of her first boyfriend, Barry, and we really do find out more about Cookie in this episode through the flashbacks, and again, I like that this show is sticking to it. Unlike last season, where we saw brief glimpses of things, this season we're actually seeing stuff, and I do like that. So after Angelo leaves, Lucius hassles Cookie. He gets inside her head, says he doesn't want to see her get hurt because he feels that Angelo is going to hurt her. And I get Lucius's concern here. I honestly do. You know, this is genuine concern, but Angelo is an important guy. Lucius heard that Angelo might be running for mayor, as he won't be able to do that with a convicted felon on his arm. Of course, we know that Cookie has been in jail, and she might end up jeopardizing his campaign. And again, that is a genuine concern that Lucius had here. And Lucius was definitely tolerable in this episode. I definitely will say that. They're still kind of trying to go back and forth with him being a nice guy, but I did like seeing him genuinely care for Cookie, because it does show that, again, he does care about her. You know, he's not going to treat her like absolute shit, and I did like seeing that. I like seeing that in general this season, and I like seeing, you know, that he does care, like I said. So Akeem hears about Nessa's contract issues. He reassures Lucius that he and Nessa are friends, and he can get her to sign the deal, and that he can easily convince her to do that. And before Akeem and Andre leave Lucius' office to talk to Nessa, Andre takes Lucius aside and tells him that Jamal is seeing Frida in jail. This is kind of his time to move on. He's finally able to move on from it, and later that day, Jamal heads back to the prison. He has brought along his new friend Philip from the PTSD group for moral support, and I can already tell these two are definitely going to be in some sort of a relation, but I can definitely see it happening. The two relations we had last season, Ryan and then the other guy, just Ryan and Michael, those two relationships never really went anywhere, so I feel like Philip is definitely going to be a good love interest for Jamal, but Jamal is shocked when he sits down with Frida, and she's completely unrecognizable. I mean, she's badly beaten. She's got like a black eye, her eyes swollen shut. I mean, it's really bad, and I really did feel bad for her. He feels horrible. He wants her to help her get moved to a different prison. And this really starts to get him to associate her differently. Now that he's seeing that she's hurt and seeing what she's gone through, he's very upset about it. And he's not just associating her with the gun anymore. It seems like he's actually moving on. And he is getting actual closure in this episode. And I actually did like seeing that. I really like what they've been doing with Jamal's arc so far. And I liked it in this episode, like I said. He's starting to see Frida less as, someone who shot him unintentionally. And more as someone who is a victim, and I really did like seeing that here. So Hakeem decides to throw a party and invite Nessa and Shine over, so they live stream the whole thing on Xstream, and of course Hakeem is feeling very cocky. He writes on a napkin that Empire's going to offer Nessa $2.5 million. He feels that they have her, that there's no way they're not going to get her, and Shine grabs a napkin, holds it up to the camera, and broadcasts across the internet how much Empire is offering. This is obviously not going to go over well, because again, as we know, Shine is hellbent on destroying Empire. We definitely do see that, and I know episode 1, he said, oh, I'm here to just, get rid of Lucius, don't worry about me. Now it seems like Shine is hellbent on just completely destroying Empire and decimating them. He will do whatever he can to go after them and just completely just run them over. And I definitely, honestly, could see him doing it. I really could see that happening. And again, Xzibit's doing a really good job as this character. He's very good at evoking fear and intimidation, and I'm just getting this I honestly get fear from Shine. He's doing a very good job in this character. I really did I really am liking his character overall. He's very creepy, he's intimidating, he's just overall a really well thought out villain. I like what they're doing with him. So Cookie heads on her date to meet up with Angelo. She's dressed for a single night out in town. She's shocked when she learns that the singer they're going to see is actually at the opera, and the event is actually a fundraiser, and everyone is dressed in tuxedos and ball gowns. This is just not something that Cookie is used to, and I like seeing in this episode that Cookie really starting to see what she's getting herself into. Angelo is not like other guys. Angelo is not really into hip-hop music, things like that. Well, he's into it, but he's more into classical stuff, and Cookie is obviously feeling totally out of place and self-conscious. She heads to the bathroom, overhears girls gossiping about her, calling her a hood rat, obviously because of, her past, and she threatens to whip their asses and then stomps back out to find Angelo, so she really does feel out of place there. And I honestly did really feel bad for Cookie. I mean, you want her to feel like she belongs, but she really doesn't, as we see, so I definitely did feel bad, what was going on there, definitely. And we get this, and I did like seeing what the opera was. The opera turns out to be kind of like what's going on with Tiana, where there are these two guys in this girl's life, and she's singing about them. I thought that was interesting overall. I did laugh at the scene where Cookie got up and clapped. I thought that was kind of funny. But again, it's showing how out of place she was, and I thought that was interesting. So the next day at work, Tiana arrives, and I gotta say, they are using her very well this season. That is something I will give this season, that unlike last season, I understand why Becky's the main character. I get why Tiana's the main character. It's not like they're just in a couple episodes and then they're gone. No, they're really utilizing, especially Tiana, they're really using her well this season. And are they using her to the best of her ability? Yeah. I mean, I've never really liked the character that much, but they're using her pretty well. She arrives, she is furious over Hakeem's diss. Apparently, Graham promised her fans a response to Hakeem's diss, and Tiana's over it. She doesn't want to be a part of it. She's sick of having two guys fighting over her like little kids in the sandbox. She's an artist, and she feels like she's on a reality show. But I did like what Cookie said, that this has been going on for a while, that, love triangles have been going on since, like, the 15th century, and that she's going to somehow relate that opera to what's going on with Tiana. But I did genuinely feel bad for Tiana. I got what was going on with her, and honestly understood, what she was going through there, so that definitely was interesting to see, the way that was done. I forgot to talk about the flashback in this episode. We see Cookie, before she, was with Lucius, like I said, she was with this guy, Barry. Her name was actually Laretha, and her father wanted her to focus on her studies, and not focus on music, and basically focus on, going to college, going to a good school, just being a relatively normal person, and living a normal life, but we could see she didn't want to do that, and again, we got some good insight on her character overall, and we've never really known a ton about Cookie's past, so I like that we are finding that out this season. They're doing a pretty good job with getting us into that story. So Jamal meets up with Angelo. He wants Angelo to help him get Frida out of jail. Angelo thinks she should consider Frida pleading temporary insanity, and Angelo promises to get Jamal in touch with a good lawyer who might be able to help Frida, because Frida obviously is just not safe there. She shouldn't be there. She should be out of jail, and Jamal will do whatever he can to make sure she's out. So Andre then pays Nessa a visit by himself. He reveals that he knows her brother that passed away, and all about Shine taking her in. And it's just honestly kind of a sweet scene the way this was done. But it's time for Nessa to take back her life and get what is rightfully hers, we find out. And that, Shine isn't really, that's obviously, someone that's taking her in. Andre points out to her that Shine is exploiting her and that she will make a horrible mistake if she doesn't sign with Empire. He's just using her to, exploit her in front of Lucia's face. He's using her for money, and he really doesn't care that much about her. And I think it's very much true. Empire does want to help her. Empire does want her to be, Empire actually does want her to be very successful. Empire does want her to be really good in what she does. And I thought they did a really good job with that overall here. And I like where we're going with her character overall. Good stuff there. So Andre's meeting does actually prove effective. She does sign the contract. Shine arrives at Lucia's office and freaks out. He and Andre throw a few punches and guns are drawn. Lucius holds a gun to Shine, forces him to sign the contract too. It looks like the bidding war is over and Empire has seemed to won. It seems like Empire definitely has won over, which I was surprised about, but just through some form of, sympathy and actual, not just intimidation and not forcing her to do something, they were able to get through to her, and I like seeing that. So Jamal and Frida head to see the judge with the new liar. They argue temporal insanity, and Jamal speaks on her behalf. The judge agrees to grant her bail until trial, so it looks like Frida is going to get out of prison. It looks like he's going to help her do that. And I think Frida really is going to be the one to help Jamal be able to sing. I think definitely they're going to bond over that, and I like seeing this overall. I do like seeing those two work together. So Cookie was inspired by her trip to the opera with Angelo. Now, she had good intentions here. She brings Gia, the opera singer, down to the studio to perform a clackback track with Tiana. She streams it live on Xstream. Tiana makes it pretty clear she isn't on Team Graham or Team Akeem. I like the song that she sang overall, but again, Angelo's not really that impressed because it's the opera song and then she turns to a pop song. And Angelo joins Cookie in the studio to check out the new music. Lucius arrives and he can't help but rattle Angelo. Kind of a funny scene. I like that he was singing the opera and everything. He takes Angelo aside, reveals that he actually gave Cookie her nickname. We see this scene where Cookie was with Barry. Lucius brags about roughing up Barry back in the day because he didn't feel Barry was right for her. And he was the one that started calling her Cookie and basically gave her that nickname. Which again, interesting stuff overall. And I like seeing the way we're touching upon their relationship. Seeing, how far Lucius and Cookie have come, showing their insight overall. I like the way this is going. I overall do like their story. So Lucius taunts Angelo, says that he and Cookie always find their way back together again, and that Angelo doesn't really fit into that narrative. Angelo is going to be by himself. Angelo should be alone, and clearly Lucius does not want anything to do with Angelo. He feels that Angelo is disrupting them, and I get that Lucius obviously wants Cookie back, but I do get it. I mean, this episode definitely shows that Angelo might not be the right guy for Cookie. Is she really willing to give up that crime life? Is she really willing to put aside all that music and just go for this guy who is so drastically different than her and has such different types of ideals? Though those two mesh well together, is it enough for them to get, is it enough for her to put aside everything and get together? We'll have to see what ends up happening there. I don't really know what's going to happen with that, but overall, I really did enjoy what we got there overall, because I think it's an interesting direction to go with him. So Lucius isn't done talking shit, though. He bumps into Andre next. Lucius brags that Frida played him. Lucius apparently had Frida beat up in jail because he knew that was the only way that they would release her, is if she got beaten up in jail. And Lucius knew that Andre would argue that she was out of her mind, and that means that everything Frida said about Lucius is not credible either, we find out. So Jamal heads home. He's obviously upset about his chat. Now, obviously, Frida's very anti-Lucius. I mean, she meant to kill him, for God's sake. So, obviously, wasn't very smart. Jamal then heads home. He's obviously upset about his chat with Lucius. And, just because Lucius literally says straight out to him that, he says straight out that you're as bad as me, things like that. You're just like your dad, you're just like your father. And that kind of brought me back to Jamal's song, Just Like My Daddy, if you remember that song that he sang. I really like that song overall. But yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, he kind of is starting to be a little bit like his father. And his friend Phil pays him a visit to check on him. He lectures Jamal about mixing his painkillers with alcohol and how it's really really starting to affect him. You definitely do see. So he decides to, play a song, and I thought it was a good scene overall, seeing that song that Andre's playing, and seeing that the music is starting to come back to him. I do like seeing, because, he's always been so into the music, it's always been his main priority, and to see him not be in the music really is sad to see. So I like seeing that he is getting back into that. Definitely good stuff there. But we see the end of the episode, very strange. First of all, we see that Shine has a whole gang of guys. They have these guns, and they're all these gunmen. They're loading up guns. It looks like they're going to go after Andre and Lucius, and he's going to get their revenge on him. Then we see Nessa. She pays Andre a visit at his office late at night. They share a kiss, and immediately things start getting very hot between them. Andre pulls back. He starts having flashbacks of Rhonda again, and Rhonda's ghost actually gives Andre a pep talk and encourages him to have sex with Nessa right on his desk. So these two end up having sex while Shine doesn't know where she is, not realizing he's lost Nessa to Empire. And that basically is the way the episode ends. Weird ending overall, but let's talk about the episode besides that ending. So, the ending of this episode, like I said, very strange overall. I don't know why exactly they ended this way, with Andre and Nessa having sex. I get that Andre, is kind of moving on from Rhonda. I think this is a little bit quick, though. I definitely will say that. So far, I've liked where they've gone with Andre, but if they're really going this direction where these two are going to get together, I think it's completely wrong. I think Nessa should be with someone like Hakeem, who actually wanted someone like that last season with Laura, who Hakeem, they just can't figure out what to do with this season. I've realized this. They don't really know what to do with him. I mean, he's in this position right now where he wants to be with Tiana. Tiana doesn't want to be with him. I just can't really figure out what they want to do there. I'm glad they didn't focus in a lot. They focused on Tiana's side of it, and I like seeing that. I think overall that was interesting to see. But let's talk about what's going on with Shine, because it looks like this is going to get insane next week. He clearly is going to have a whole war against Lucius and Andre, and I don't really know what's going to happen there, but I don't know if they're going to get out of this. I think Lucius and Andre think that they have this, that they're beats, and that they have Shine beat. They have everything they know about him, and they will do whatever they can to condemn him and make sure that they win in the end, but I don't know if they're actually going to win here. Shine just is too powerful and has too many guys, and I don't really think they realize what they're getting themselves into. And honestly, I like seeing that it's not easy to beat Shine. I do like seeing that. I like seeing that this guy is capable of taking them down. They don't really know what they're getting themselves into, and I'm looking forward to seeing where that's going to go overall. And I'm really liking what we're seeing him shine so far. Again, I really do like that character. Let's talk about Cookie, because I did like getting more insight into Cookie's, Cookie's past, finding out that she was actually called Aretha, finding out that her father wanted her to study more, and that this is kind of the life that she's lived. The question is, though, did she really want this life? Was she just kind of sucked in by Lucius, and he thought this is what she wanted, and this is what she has? Because in that case, I would say, yeah, going with Angelo is the right thing. Angelo's someone who could give her a good life, and could actually care about her, and he looks at things in a very eloquent and delicate way, which is something that really none of the Lion family really do. The only one who really does that is Andre, but even that after having sex with Nessa, I don't really know if I say that now, but I do like seeing that Cookie is really starting to feel a bit out of place, and she's realizing that maybe this guy isn't right for her. I think it's an interesting development to see where that's going to go, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where they're going to take that whole storyline, because I think overall that's very interesting, definitely. I can't wait to see where that ends up going. As far as Jamal and, Jamal's storyline, I do definitely feel bad for Jamal. I mean, obviously, Frida seems like she's getting out of prison, but now what she said with Lucius is incredible, so I don't really know what's going to happen with that, but I do like these two are bonding, and I like that Jamal has pretty much gotten over the fact that she, shot him. I like that he's gotten over that. It seems that these two are moving on, and I do like seeing that overall. So good stuff there between Jamal, but he really does need to, kind of chill with the painkillers, because it's clearly starting to mess with his head, and you're definitely seeing that. You know that Phil probably is going to be a love interest. You're definitely seeing that right off the, we're definitely seeing that, and I'm looking forward to seeing where that's going to go, really. As far as the whole thing going on with Tiana, I thought it worked well in this episode with us seeing that Tiana's want to be on either side. Hakeem needs to really chill about it. Really, I think, he's way too focused on it, and I like they didn't really focus on it a ton this episode because it was just annoying what we've been seeing of it so far. You guys know it hasn't really been impressing me, unfortunately. Unfortunately, it hasn't really been impressing me that much. I just really haven't been that into it. I wanted to be, but I just really haven't been that into it as to what was going on there. But this episode in general was really great. Like I said, we really do got things moving, especially this war between Andre, Lucius, and Shine. It seems like a very impossible war. We don't really know what's going to happen there. No Tariq in this episode. I will say that. There wasn't any Tariq, and we don't really know what's going on with Tariq and Andre. You know, we know that Tariq said to Andre, I guess, isn't going to take that deal, but we'll have to see what happens there. I don't really know what's going to happen with that. I think that's going to be interesting overall. And I do like seeing these flashbacks of Lucius and Cookie because it's starting to show me that maybe these two should be together, that maybe they are meant to be together, and that Lucius definitely does care about Cookie. You definitely do see that. He knows what she wants. He knows, you know, he's known her for much longer than Angelo, and I definitely think he's a better fit for her than Angelo. But what does Cookie really want? We don't really know right now. We'll have to see where that's going to go. We know she doesn't really want Lucius, but is Angel really the right guy for her? I don't really know. Overall, guys, let me know what you guys saw this episode. Love your thoughts, and I definitely really did enjoy this episode overall. I thought this overall was a really good episode. Like I said, I think the ending just was really weird. This is the kind of stuff I don't like that Empire does. They like to throw in shock value type endings, and I think that's what this was. They threw it at the end for shock value. Other than that, though, I really did enjoy this episode. Really good stuff overall. That's my review. Hope you all enjoy it. We'll see you guys in my next video. I don't know what it's going to be for yet. It's going to be for some show. I don't know what, but I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.